This day would come. Can you at least tell me how much I was worth? We both play this game, Wrath. What kind of shoes will you be wearing when your day comes?
In the shadows of life, in the business of death, Robert Wrath is ready to stop the killing.
The history stops here. No more. It quits.
But in the eyes of a rival...
Can I help you?
I'm just looking for someone.
What's the name? I can check the plot map for you.
The real competition...
He's not dead yet.
...is about to begin.
The contractor tried to kill you, buddy. That's not good. Between you and him, right?
I'm going to tear your heart out.
Why don't you just leave me out of it? What's this for?
Just in case.
I can't shoot anybody.
You almost shot me.
I was aiming at the lamp.
Moving target. The last game ends before anyone wins.
Don't play with me now.
Warner Brothers presents... Sylvester Stallone.
10 o'clock tomorrow morning, I'm gonna go into that bank. He's gonna be down there in the plaza somewhere in the crowd.
He'll shoot you before you go into the bank.
No. He'll wait for the prime shot.
Antonio Banderas.
A woman. It's not the same as killing a man. You have to pull the trigger a different way.
Julianne Moore.
You're a strange man, Robert Wrath.
As long as you are out there, I'll never be number one. Step outside, and I'll set you free.
This fall, don't take your eyes off them
Surprise.
for a second.
Now what?
Assassins. Directed by Richard Donner.
Welcome to the latest episode of the B Movie Club. I'm your host, Kevin. This week we'll be discussing the 1995 action classic, Assassins, starring Sylvester Stallone, Antonio Banderas, Julianne Moore. It's an all-star cast. For those of you joining us for the first time, each week on the B Movie Club, I discuss certain guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the past. Go ahead and go to our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club, and give us the big thumbs up. Go ahead and go to our page on YouTube at KD9575 and hit the subscribe button. It's totally free. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at the B Movie Club. You do all that, you get your latest updates whenever we post a new video, any new articles that are vaguely B-movie-ish. I just pass it on to you. Don't forget to spread the word. The more the merrier, I always say. Assassins. In this movie, Robert Wrath is a hired killer, an assassin, if you will, who's just kind of, you know what, he's not sure this is the life for him anymore. He's kind of despondent. He's, you know, he doesn't really have anything else in his life. And it's just kind of a bummer overall. So he takes a job from his faceless contractor that he only communicates with through his computer to assassinate some mob boss or something at a funeral. And while he's there, another assassin pops up and kills the guy that he was supposed to kill. So if somebody does that, that's just poor form, I guess, in the assassin world. So he attempts to assassinate this new assassin, but the cops get involved. It's all crazy. Essentially, if he is able to eliminate this new guy, then I guess he still gets paid. I'm not sure how it works. I don't know. I don't know the legalese of the situation. Something like that. The cops arrest the other guy, but he's such a badass, he kills those cops and escapes. Robert Rath comes up with an elaborate scenario where he'll pick up the assassin in his taxi cab, I guess, and drive him to the airport. He figures out which cab he's taking, picks him up. It is all set to assassinate him, but the guy figures it out. They have a little conversation. The new assassin is a young up-and-comer named Miguel Bain. I'm not sure Bain is a Hispanic name, but c'est la vie. Robert Rath is known as being the #1 assassin in the world. Ever since 20 years earlier, Robert Rath had murdered his mentor, Nikolai, a famous Russian assassin. So Robert Rath's been #1. Miguel wishes to be #1, and he won't rest until he is #1, even if it means he has to take out Robert Rath. So it's all very elaborate. So they have a little tussle. They get split up. Cops are chasing them. Robert Rath escapes, goes back to his contractor because he's convinced that the faceless contractor set him up in some way. That he keeps putting another person on the job, essentially. So Robert Rath says, his contractor says, Robert, here's a big deal, $1 million deal here. You can go and retire, go off and do whatever you want. The secret is you have to murder this woman named Elektra and steal a floppy disk that has some valuable information. Floppy disks were really big in the spy game in the 90s. Not so much today. So he goes down to the hotel to find this woman. But, of course, so Miguel's there as well to track down the woman. So there's an elaborate thing going on. There's a cat and mouse situation in the hotel. The woman, Elektra, is a hacker of some sort who used her hacking skills to download a bunch of information from a satellite, and now she's selling it to the highest bidder. So there's Interpol is there trying to find out what's going on. I don't want to give it all away. There's a lot of levels to Assassins, as you might have figured out. Robert Rath is played by Sylvester Stallone, and this was kind of at the tail end of his prominence, I guess. As you might know, Stallone was real big in, like, say, late 70s through the mid-80s. Then he had a bit of a down cycle there where he was doing Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, things like that. Then he had kind of an upswing in the early 90s when he did, like, Demolition Man and Cliffhanger. Assassins was kind of the end of that resurgence, if you will. Antonio Banderas, who plays Miguel Bain, he was a young, up-and-coming actor. He'd done a few things prior to this. Interestingly enough, he's from Spain, and the first movies he did in America, the first one he did was called Mambo Kings. He didn't speak any English and had to speak all of his lines phonetically, so not bad. Not bad, I'd say. Julianne Moore, she plays Elektra, the female hacker. This was kind of early in her... I mean, she was kind of a name, but, you know, still early in her development. Prior to this, she had had, like, a cameo in The Fugitive. I don't know if you call it a cameo, if you're just, you know, if it's early in your career and you're just, hey, I'm taking a job. If you're not famous, it's not a cameo, I guess. So she was in The Fugitive. She'd done a few other things prior to this as well. The original script for Assassins was written by the Wachowskis, who were unknown screenwriters at this time. They sold 2 scripts to Joel Silver, the famous Hollywood producer. The first one being Assassins. The second one being a little-known property called The Matrix. Hey! So they sold them both for about $1 million each, and they went ahead and they parlayed the success from Assassins to be able to write and direct The Matrix, which obviously became a very important film, as you might imagine. So they wrote the script, and they went through a lot of different people that they wanted to direct this. At one point, Mel Gibson was going to direct it and star in it. There was talk that Michael Douglas or Arnold Schwarzenegger might play the Robert Rath part. There was talk like Woody Harrelson might play the Miguel Bain part. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Eventually, Mel Gibson passed on it and went on to do Braveheart. And Joel Silver went from Mel Gibson to another Gibson collaborator Richard Donner, who directed Gibson in Lethal Weapon and had done many other things. So he was brought in. They hired Sylvester Stallone at this point, paid him $15 million. That's a lot of money. Hired Antonio Banderas to play the other role. Richard Donner wasn't a huge fan of the original script. He felt it was a little dreary, a little heavy. So he brought in his friend, Brian Helgeland, who went on to write and direct many other things like Payback, their conspiracy theory. Had him do what's called a page one rewrite, which is essentially, we've got the idea, we've got the characters, we're throwing the script out the window, and we're going to start from scratch with the idea, with the central plot, with the characters, but basically we're going to change it. So when the Wachowskis found this out, they were obviously a little irritated. So they went to the Screenwriters Guild and petitioned to have their name taken off the film, and they were denied. So the Wachowskis still have, it's like the Wachowski brothers, now just the Wachowskis, and Brian Helgeland are listed as the screenwriters of record. One thing that's kind of confusing about this movie is Miguel Bain is constantly speaking Spanish. You know, there's kind of little comments. He calls Robert Rath anticuado, which means like antiquated or old. And then when they go to Puerto Rico, there's a big scene at the end of the movie where they're all in Puerto Rico and he's trying to assassinate Robert Rath. And these women are speaking to him in Spanish, and he's acting like he doesn't speak any Spanish, and it's all very confusing. I don't know what the thought process was, what's going on there. It's hard to follow what's going on here. Evidently in the original script, and if you watch some of the trailers, you'll notice this, there was supposed to be much more of an overt kind of love, interest, attraction between Julianne Moore and Sylvester Stallone. It's kind of hinted at in the final product, hinted a little bit, but I guess it was supposed to be much more like a previous Stallone movie, The Specialist, where he plays, the explosive maker who's kind of, I'm getting out of the business, but he meets some woman. Very similar. That movie was much more overt in its like, oh, there's a love, there's an attraction or something going on here. With this, it was just kind of like, well, I guess he's a guy and she's a lady and they're hanging out together. Maybe there's a little bit of attraction, but I'm not even sure they even kiss in the course of the movie, so what are you going to do? C'est la vie. They also added a whole subplot at the end of the movie where, spoiler alert, Nikolai reappears. Okay, if you don't remember who Nikolai is, it's not that important, but evidently that's all something new fabricated for this. When it came out, it did reasonably well the first week, but it had kind of precipitous decline after that. It wound up making money on the deal, but not a whole heck of a lot. Richard Donner went on to say that he thought the film would have worked better if they switched the roles. If Miguel was played by Stallone and Robert Rath was played by Antonio Banderas. I don't know how that would work. That sounds kind of bizarre. They'd have to rewrite the script again. Because Robert Rath is supposed to be the old veteran, and Miguel's supposed to be the young up-and-comer. If you switch them, I don't know what happens there. Some kind of craziness. It's all very strange. This movie currently has a 16% rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. That's that. They dropped the hammer on them. That's kind of ridiculous. It's not the finest film the world has ever known. I enjoyed it. It's fun. Little long, if you ask my opinion. They probably could have trimmed it back a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Action scenes were fun. Interesting locales. They tried to build suspense and drama and things like that. It was fine. It's not going to win any Academy Awards, and it didn't. But 16%, I mean, that's just ridiculous. I mean, come on. Who did Richard Donner piss somebody off? 16% is ridiculous. So, if you choose to go see it, it is streaming instantly on Netflix. Just expect it. It's fine. It gets the job done. It's not a total stinker. So, if you like Stallone, you like Little Banderas, if you like Julianne Moore, give it a dance. Okay? Check it out. Let me know what you think. Send any favorite scenes, favorite quotes, questions, or comments, and I may talk about it on the show. Next week, I'm going to go ahead and move away from the action, suspense, whatever this is. We're going to be doing Saturday Night Fever, starring John Travolta. So check that out. It is streaming instantly on Netflix. It's got the dancing, the music, the fashion. Check it out. Let me know what you think. Go ahead and go to our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter at the B Movie Club. And don't forget to go to our page on YouTube, also at KD9575. As you know, I end every episode with a totally out of context quote. And here it is. Killing a woman is not the same as killing a man. You have to pull the trigger a different way. That's my horrible Antonio Banderas impression. Hope you appreciated that. So there you have it. Good times had by all. Thank you for joining us. Next week, Saturday Night Fever. Be well.